So hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of A.S.E.'s Corner. How you all doing out there? So today is kind of an important day. It is the day that I go to become recertified as an automobile technician. Now, for those of you that don't know, and it seems like a lot of people don't know nowadays, to be certified as an automotive technician, at least in my country, in the States here, there is an entity known as the A.S.E, the Automotive Service Excellence. And what they are is basically, they test us. They test technicians to make sure that you're qualified to work on an automobile. And you don't need a license to work on cars. It's not like being a plumber or an electrician where you need to go to special schooling to really know what you're doing. Anybody can work on cars. So then you ask yourself, then why do we have to be certified? Who cares then if you don't need a license? Well, the way it works is, one, if you're getting into the business and you want to be a mechanic and you want to make the good money, you use that to show a prospective employer that you're capable, that you're qualified and competent in the areas that you take tests or that you tested at. The other reason is you need that certificate to be able to do something. And what I mean by that is when you're a dealership technician, when you work at a dealer, every dealership I've ever been to requires you be A.S.E certified to do warranty work, to do any kind of work that the automaker, the manufacturer of automobiles that you happen to be working on, you have to be A.S.E certified for them to pay. It is what it is. And in my case today, to be recertified, we are a AAA tow facility and repair facility here at Approved Auto. And AAA wants their technicians or your technicians at the place that they associate with to be certified. And that honestly is the only reason I'm going to do these tests today. Now, I was certified, and you can see there, but as you can see by the date, they only last, I got this in 2002, my last certificate ran out in 2007, so apparently 5 years they last. Now, that's kind of too soon for me. I don't think the automotive industry changes enough to warrant that. And I kind of have an issue with that. The other thing I have an issue with is no one knows what A.S.E stands for anymore. When I was a kid, when I was young, I remember being 8, 9 years old, I knew what A.S.E certification meant. I knew I didn't have a car, but I knew why you would want to bring your car, because you would see it. You would see the A.S.E symbol and everything to do with them in publications, in magazines. There would be an ad, why would you bring your car to Ted? Because Ted's certified, you can trust him and all. I remember these ad campaigns in magazines. I remember on television, I'm pretty sure there were A.S.E commercials just for the A.S.E Foundation, but there were also other companies would advertise for them. And I don't remember the last time I've seen any kind of notification about A.S.E certification and why you would want to go, why would you want to bring your car in a long time. And I don't see why they've stopped that. And I kind of have an issue with that, because it seems like just another way to get money out of a technician's pocket. So, yeah, I'm coming up here today to take these tests. Another issue I have with them is they're really pedantic. They're really not a good way to test a technician's capabilities. Basically, or at least when I took these tests a few years ago, they were standardized like the Iowa test. When I was a kid, we had these things called Iowa tests, where you would have a book with the questions in it, and you'd have a little answer pad. You'd have to have a number 2 pencil, and you'd fill out the corresponding oval so that your answer sheet could be read by a machine. And I guess now it's all computers, and we'll find out that. So, yeah, it is a terrible way to test a technician, asking him, automotive questions. What would be a better test would be like automotive competitions where you would go and they would have cars that are bugged and broken in certain ways, and you would have to figure out what's wrong with those cars. That would be a better test. But that is a really expensive test to take. Now, I don't think they could, the quantity of technicians that need to be certified would overwhelm a system like that. You know, how are you breaking cars? How are you even going to do that? So yeah, they're going to ask me some questions. I'm taking 3 today. I don't remember which 3 I signed up for. But I'm taking 3 tests. Each test is 20 questions, and they give you an hour to answer those 20 questions. So it'll be interesting to see how long these take me. When I went for my original certificates, I went there thinking I'm going to need all the time in the world. The first round of 3 I took me 20 minutes, 15 minutes, and it was real easy. I passed them with flying colors. The next time I went to take ASE tests, I brought my old lady, and again, granted, this was a long time ago. I brought her with me, and we went and took the test and went out to a nice dinner. And she asked me, she said, "Are you sure you want me to go? I don't want to sit out in the car for a long time." I was like, "Don't worry, honey, I'll be out in 15 minutes. And 15 minutes later, I was out. All right, guys, I'm here. It's 1:24, and my test starts at 2, but they said get here a half an hour early, so we'll see how long this takes, and we'll see how this goes. Well, it's 12:24. I got in there. There was the half an hour explanation practice to make sure you know their systems test, and it took me about 18 minutes to do 3 tests. And what I like now that wasn't like this before, you get your results right away. I mean, it used to be you had to they had to take those Iowa test sheets and send them to their reading center, and then you'd know in a month, or I think it was 2 or 3 months it took to get back. But now I know right now that I passed all 3. Pass, and pass. That's automotive brakes recert, automobile suspension and steering recert, and I took a tough one, manual drivetrain and axles, and all 3 passed. It's they're just too easy. It's just not a very good way to test an automotive technician's abilities. It's a real good test to see if you're good at taking tests, and maybe to know the basics, that you know the basics of what you were talking about. Probably the hardest one was the manual drivetrain and axles. They ask a lot of like shim questions, like you got a carrier bearing has 3/1000ths run out on one side and needs something, and you got to kind of do the math in your head. Those are probably the toughest, but it is what it is. So I'm recertified. I knew I was going to pass these things. Anyways, guys, I got to get back and get stuff going on at the shop. I think maybe I'll just go home and work on the 96 for the rest of the day. I like that idea. I'm going to go home and work on the 96 now that I'm recertified. And on that note, guys, and until next time, keep it out of the cabbage.